Why study these things? Here we have three pictures. This is a drawing of tobacco. This is a statue made by the Aztecs, and this shows a shaman in the throes of ecstasy, and he's covered, his body and the pillar he's sitting on are covered in different psychoactive plants, such as mushrooms, morning glory, and the Aztecs had a large number of different psychoactive or psychedelic plants that they used. And then the third picture there is coffee arabica, which is very familiar to all of us and probably one of the most widely used psychoactive drugs on the planet. I define a psychoactive as anything that alters your mind in any way. So coffee, even chocolate with theobromine and chemicals like that, all the way to things as powerful as ayahuasca or San Pedro or whatever. So yeah, psychoactive plants are plants that alter your mind in a way other than satiating hunger or a basic need like that. So why study psychoactive plants? When we're looking at a culture, if you learn about the psychoactive plants that they use or the psychoactive drugs that they use, you sort of can get an insight into the values of that culture. So in our culture, in Western culture, we value alcohol, tobacco, coffee, and that sort of gives us an insight into some of the values of our culture. So whereas you have Amazonian tribes that value powerful psychedelic plants like ayahuasca, because they give them a connection to the spiritual realm or the other realms, where they can do things like heal sickness, remove bad energies, etc., etc. So psychoactive plants give us a window into cultures that we might not normally have. So I think it's important to study these things and to learn why people value or also the things that they demonize. Our culture for a long time has demonized psychedelics, and that says a lot about Western culture or American culture, or whatever, European culture, whatever it may be. So psychoactive plants are important in studying and understanding the values of various cultures. Also, if anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to just raise your hand or shout out. Yes?
What part of morning glory is psychoactive?
So morning glory, Ipomoea species. The seeds are psychoactive, but you have to make sure that you use the correct species because some of the other Ipomoea species are poisonous. It's Ipomoea violacea and tricolor that are the main morning glories that were used in ancient Mexico. They have another one called Revia coriambosa. I think it may have been changed to turbina, but it is quite rare outside of Mexico, but it can easily be bought on many websites online. Very pretty flowers as well. So I'm going to show you guys a video before this slide here. Humans are not the only ones to use psychoactive plants. Animals also use psychoactive plants. And hopefully you guys can hear this a little bit. This is a jaguar oh no. Oh, that's not good. It's a short video. Maybe we can just, I don't know if you guys can see it, but. So yeah, humans are not the only species to use psychoactive plants. Oh no. What's happening?
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. Alright, I'll just talk about it instead. So you can see the jaguar here is chewing the leaves of the ayahuasca vine, Banisteriopsis capi. He most likely uses them as a purgative to get parasites out of his system, but it looks pretty, you'll see in a second, the jaguar seems to be intoxicated as well. So he probably uses them for two reasons, to clean himself of parasites and as an intoxicant as well. We don't know exactly what it would do to the jaguar, because just as catnip has a very, very different effect on cats than it does humans, but it seems to have some effect. And the people will often say, the Amazonian people, if you ask them, how did you learn about ayahuasca? Sometimes they'll just say, like, well, we always knew, or they'll say, we watched the jaguar using it, and that's how we learned. There is also, we'll go back to the slides now, if I can. Yes. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah. So, humans are not the only species to use psychoactive plants. As you saw in the video, the Jaguar was using yake or ayahuasca, Banisteriopsis capi. We also have some very interesting videos of young male dolphins that would, they seek out pufferfish. They make the pufferfish angry, which causes it to release a toxin, and then usually a group of young male dolphins will use the pufferfish as an intoxicant to get themselves high, basically. So dolphins like to use drugs as well. We have here as well a picture of the reindeer and the Amanita muscaria mushroom. The reindeer seek these out and will even fight over them. They'll dig through the snow, and if they find one, usually the largest reindeer will try to come and take it for himself. So the reindeer really love the Amanita muscaria mushroom and seek it out throughout the year, even under snow. And the people in Siberia who use the Amanita muscaria mushroom most likely learned this practice from the reindeer. They herd the reindeer, so they're in close relationship with them. There's a very strange practice of drinking the urine of the reindeer after it has ingested the Amanita muscaria mushroom, as well as drinking the urine of other people if you don't have enough money for the mushrooms. So the usage of psychoactive plants is one of humankind's most ancient practices. The picture on the left is the cave of the Guitarrero. It is in central western Peru, on the western slopes of the Andes, and they found an archaeological site there that's about, I can't remember if it's 10,000 years old or if it's 10,000 BC, but either way, it's very old. And they found the first instances of things like corn and beans and ají peppers, capsicum species. And they also found San Pedro, dried San Pedro, associated with ceremonial items and like ceramic vessels that had residue of San Pedro in them. So the cave of the Guitarrero is probably our oldest physical evidence of the use of psychoactive plants, period, that I'm aware of. If you guys are aware of any older, I would love to know about it.
Where's this cave again?
It is if you looked at like the map of Peru and put your finger in the middle, go to the left a little bit, to the west a little bit, and it's right there. It's sort of near Huaraz, and likely these people were the progenitors of the Chivende-Wantar culture, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. So yeah, they found the San Pedro cactus, Trichoceres species, in the cave, associated with ceremonial and ritual items. We also have from Tassili, I think it's called Tassili Inagir in southern Algeria, circa 3,500 BC. If any of you have read Food of the Gods by Terence McKenna, which is a great, interesting book. It might not be the most scientifically rigorous book, but it is a very entertaining book. We have cave paintings of what appear to be mushroom-headed shaman holding mushrooms and running through their hallucinations. At least that's how Terence McKenna interpreted it. But the reason why I appreciate so much the cave of the Guitarrero is because there's no interpretation needed. They found mescaline in the residue in the ceramic pots, and it's fairly clear that they were using the San Pedro cactus as a psychoactive in very, very early times in Peru. And however, with the cave painting, maybe it's something different. Maybe it was someone's dream. Who knows? Yeah, so the usage of psychoactive plants is very, very old. Chivende-Wantar is what the Temple of Doom in Indiana Jones is based on. This is in Huaraz, which is about 8 hours from Lima, and it's around 3,000 years old. The temple was made in various steps, but the oldest evidence we have is from about 3,000 years old. This is one of the carvings at Chivende-Wantar, and it depicts a multi-headed god holding either staffs or the San Pedro cactus, depending on who you ask. But we know that in Chivende-Wantar, they used a number of different psychoactive plants, most likely San Pedro, Brugmansia, which is also known as Floripondio or Toe, and Wilca, which is